4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think we're live.
Awesome.
Yay! And let me just make sure that it's actually working. And it's because I have like 15 pages. So that's the other thing. And my phone's being slow. Oh, damn. Okay, so if anybody's watching the replay, just skip all this. Okay. All right, so hi, everyone. I'm Janelle.
I'm Bianca.
And welcome to our chat?
Yeah.
Hangout? Live? Something? Okay, so... Oh, we have people watching. Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Okay. So for those of you who follow me, or maybe you don't, my name is Janelle Adams, and I am an angel mom advocate. So I help women who have experienced pregnancy or infant loss. I help them to navigate their grief, regain their confidence, and basically learn how to thrive within their new normal. In addition to that, I'm also a blogger. I have a skincare brand, and I do have 2 little boys, so I am a mompreneur. And yeah, that's what I do. Bianca, do you want to talk about what you do?
Sure, why not? So I'm Bianca. I don't know if you guys follow me or not. I am a lifestyle blogger based in Orlando. I have 2 children. And I am a NICU mom advocate, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. I just recently started a new project called Mamas of the NICU, so be on the lookout for that. I'll be releasing more information about that soon.
Okay, so in addition to being an angel mom advocate, I am an angel mom myself. Having experienced the loss of an infant after she was born extremely prematurely, and she ended up passing away shortly thereafter. So that's what's inspired me to start this journey of helping other women who have been there. Hey, Janae. And yeah, I'm like losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry. So one of the things that I recently launched that you guys may have seen are my enamel pins. I don't know if you can see. Like this one says, I'm a baby loss mom. And they've been doing really great. And hey, Tawanda! They've been doing really great. And one of the things that's been amazing about it is that I've been noticing that people have not been buying them for themselves, but for loved ones, which is so awesome because it feels really good to have the support of people you love in such a traumatic time. So that inspired me to come up with this topic today, which is how to be there for a friend who has experienced baby loss. And as I was putting the notes together, I thought about Bianca, who is a close friend of mine, who we clicked immediately because we had so much in common. We're both bloggers. We're both West Indian. Our husbands, hi Danielle. Our husbands basically do the same thing.
We're light-skinned twins.
We're light-skinned twins. Yeah, and
we're born in the same month.
Yeah, we have
same sign.
Same sign. Our birthdays are a few days apart, and people do always ask us if we're sisters when we go out in public. And unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we now have something else in common, which is being angel moms. And as much work as I do with hi Ashley. As much work as I do with other women and as much work as I've done on myself, it really threw me for a loop when someone who I'm this close to went through this, because Bianca and I, like, we've gotten super close since I moved to Orlando. Like, we talk just about every day.
Yeah, we live like 2 minutes away.
Yeah, our husbands have become, they have this like bromance thing that's like going on now.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. That's so awesome. Our kids are obsessed with each other. So, 2 weeks ago, we were on the phone, just a regular day, and making plans for the weekend. And then 2 hours later, Bianca told me that her son unfortunately passed away. Do you want to share anything, or did you want me to kind of?
Sure. So it was, I think I know a few of you guys were friends on Facebook, so I did share a little bit about kind of Tristan's story and what happened that day. So usually my daily routine is waking up, getting his big sister ready for school, dropping her off, and then going to the hospital because he had been in the NICU. So that day I did the same thing like I always do. And I was there I usually get there around 9. So then around 11:30, something just changed and he just stopped breathing. So then they started to kind of resuscitate him and nothing worked. So that was our last day with Tristan. We didn't expect it. I think the signs were kind of there, but at the time we didn't know, that it was coming. So it's been a long journey these past 2 weeks, but Janelle has really been there, and her husband has been there as well for my husband, and it's been a really interesting journey and something that we weren't expecting to happen. So, especially not so soon.
Yeah. So. And so, just all of that, and just kind of inspired me to put this whole video together, because unfortunately there are so many of you who have friends who are going through this, and maybe you're not really sure what to say, you're not really sure what to do. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of research, but when this happened with Bianca, like I totally lost it. Like I cried immediately. I cried all the way to the hospital. And I had to talk to one of my best friends, like on the way there, she was like, okay, just get it out now, because you can't walk in there and like fall apart in front of her. And I was like, okay, okay. So, I hope I did a really good, job of not looking like a hot mess when I arrived.
Hey, Chrissy.
Yes, Ashley, it's way more common than we'd like to admit, you know. 1 in 4 women, unfortunately, experience some kind of loss. Like Bianca and I have experienced having premature babies. Like the US actually has an insanely high premature rate.
1 in 10.
Yeah, 1 in 10. Like that's way too high. And, unfortunately, babies need to be in our bodies for, the full term, unless, or else rather, there are chances of different complications and just all kinds of things that can unfortunately happen. So today we wanted to share, we have a message from Crystal. Hi, Crystal. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. All right. So today we just wanted to talk about like some of the do's and don'ts so that you can be there for your friend and be supportive during this time. I think I'm going to have to pick them up. Okay. All right. So the first thing on the list is, I'm sorry, guys. The baby's going to have to be in the video. I was trying to keep him out of it, but he wants to be included.
We can kind of keep him out. There
okay. All right. All right. So the first thing on our list, and this is in no particular order, is if you're going to be, okay. So like a knee-jerk reaction when someone goes to do something tough is, let me know if you need something. If you say that, actually be there. Like actually do it. Right. And then Bianca brought up a really good point, was that if you say you're going to be there, be specific about it. Yes. So did you want to give like any examples or?
So a good example is just be more specific about how you're going to help. So for example, when we first lost Tristan, we had a lot of people reaching out and saying, they want to help, but being more specific. So we had friends that said they were going to bring over meals, and they actually did it. They chose it. They brought over meals, or they shipped us stuff via Postmates.
That's awesome.
They helped out one of Tristans' nurses, Christine. She is really amazing, and she was there the day of, the day after, every day up until his service. She was there helping us prepare the arrangements and helping us pick out his outfit and making sure that things were done and getting all of his affairs in order. So just be more specific about how you're going to help, and just do it, because when someone's going through that, they don't want to have to hunt you down for saying that you're going to help them.
Yeah. And saying you're going to, you can help with things like what you were saying, like funeral arrangements, just, food, because, the last thing you're thinking about is food.
Cooking.
I don't even think I ate like the first,
Yeah.
Like I barely ate maybe that first month.
The first time I cooked was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I went 13 days. We were just eating out every day, 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I wasn't making lunches. I wasn't making breakfast. Tatiana was taking Lunchables, sending.
So just anything, it can be something small, or, even if your friend does have another child, even like maybe helping with like pickup and drop offs, or just even like errands, just small, like everyday things that you wouldn't think a person needs help with.
Yeah.
They'll need help with during that time, because it's such an emoting time. Mm-hmm. So if you say you're going to be there, and then be specific in how you like to be there, and don't like offer to do things that you're not comfortable doing, or that you genuinely don't want to do.
Amen.
Yeah, because it's okay if you don't want to. If funerals make you uncomfortable, you don't have to volunteer for like that part. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Help picking up groceries. Maybe you're going to the grocery store one day and just say, hey, do you need anything from the grocery store?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that.
Okay, our second point would be, do not minimize your loved one's grief. So, I know people love to do the whole everything happens for a reason. God needed another angel.
It was his time.
Like we don't want to hear that shit.
Their number was called.
Yeah. No.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Please.
And while those, I think I don't know, maybe like when older people pass, it's not so bad, just because that's kind of like the natural order of things. But when it's a baby,
it's different. Yeah. And you really don't understand unless you've been there. Mm-hmm. But it's better to just not say anything at all if you don't know what to say. Just keep it as simple as, I'm sorry for your loss. That's it.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss. Keep it there.
Yeah.
Another way that you might be minimizing someone's grief is starting a sentence with "at least," like saying, "At least you have another child. At least this, at least that." Like all you're doing with that is minimizing that person's grief. It's almost as if you're telling them that they shouldn't grieve because it could have been worse, or this scenario could have happened, or that scenario, things like that. And again, the average person isn't thinking like this, but that's what we're here for, so that, we can help to educate you on things that may be harmful rather than helpful, which, people generally mean well, but your words can be very hurtful to a person who's going through this grief. Another one that I know I personally really hated was, you can have another child, or, because having another child does not take away the space that your child who passed away has. Like, that's always going to be there. You're always going to think about that child. You're always going to imagine, what life would have been like with that child. It's been almost 6 years since my loss, and I mean, it's very frequent that, like, my husband and I, like, we'll see our boys and we're like, man, you know, like, what would Jolie be doing now? Or what would it be like if we had a little girl? You know, what would she look like? How would her brothers interact with her? Stuff like that, you know? So saying that, you know, you can have another one, that doesn't help, because it's not going to take the pain away of this loss. Everyone is their own person, no matter how short their life was, essentially. Did you have anything else to add on that one? Anything else
that one?
Anything else you want to add about this point? Nothing?
No, that you pretty much said what I was going to say.
Okay, so our third one is to not bombard your friend or loved one with advice.
Yes, especially if you have not been there, because I don't want your advice. Thank you very much. Leave it at the door. Just thank you. That's it.
Bianca's a lot more blunt than I
am.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is too, when this happened, a lot of people were like, "Oh, what advice did you give her?" And I was like, I don't give her advice unless she asks, because I remember what it was like when people were telling me how to feel, and just it was just a lot of chatter when I was trying to process.
Yeah.
What
it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So if you ask for advice, you know, then like I feel comfortable saying stuff, but I really don't hit Bianca up every day, as close as we are, talking about, so this is what you need to be doing today, and blah 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 blah. Yeah,
does not do that.
I will not do that. That's unnecessary, and it's not helpful, especially in the beginning. Like, you're really just still in like the shock of it, and it's like, oh my god, like, did this even happen? Like, was this real? Did I make this up? So having to process like everyone's advice on top of that is way too much. Yeah. So
and everybody grieves in their own way. So, you know, Janelle and I might grieve a lot differently. Like, I don't know where she was at 2 weeks into her.
A mess, girl. On my sister's couch. Here doing so much
everyone grieves differently in their own, and in their own way. So you can't really give too much advice without being overwhelming, because you don't know how that person grieves. Now, if you're a professional, that's different. Maybe you can give some advice to them, but other than that, keep your advice to yourself.
Yeah.
Unless it's asked for.
Yes. If people ask for advice, give it, but yeah.
But don't be mad if they snap at you.
And also too, that's a really good point, because you are at this time, not you specifically, but angel moms in the beginning, there are a lot of emotions that we're trying to process, and we do snap at people. Like, I remember one time, my best friend, I mean, I love her so much, and she bought me a Milky Way, because that's like my favorite chocolate. But I had stopped eating it for a while because I was pregnant, and I was like, you know, I don't want to be like feeding my baby junk and stuff. And poor girl, like, she bought me a Milky Way, and I was like, I don't eat these anymore. Like, she was like, oh my god,
like, girl.
Yeah, like, she was just trying to help, but it wasn't a good day for me, you know. And I mean, she was just doing something so kind, like, as a gesture, but just in that moment, I don't know what I was thinking or going through, but I did snap at her, and, you know, it happens, because all in one day you can be like sad, happy, mad, confused.
You sure can. Excited for the future.
Yeah.
It's just a roller coaster of emotions day by day.
Yeah. Like, hour by hour, your emotions can change. Yep. So, so if your loved one does snap at you, just don't take it personal. And just forgive them. Just extend a little grace. So our fourth point is,
don't force people to do things you think may help.
Yes. So do not force people to go to support groups. Don't force them to go to therapy. Don't force them to read this book. Don't force them to try yoga, or, you know, whatever you think will help. Do not force them in it. As Bianca said, people grieve in different ways and at different paces, and people know when they're ready to move to the next step. you can always suggest something, like, once or twice. Suggest, don't force. And if they really are uninterested, just leave it alone. Like, they'll get there when they get there.
And don't force them to talk. A lot of people aren't talkers. They don't want to talk about it. For example, for me, like, I don't like talking about it to a lot of people because they weren't there. They don't understand what Tristan's life was like. They don't know a lot of the things that our family went through. So don't blow up my phone every day asking me how I'm dealing with it. That's, first of all, that's a silly question. And B, you're just annoying me by blowing up my phone every day with texts and phone calls. When I'm ready to talk, I'll talk.
Well, what about people who may genuinely want to know what you're, and I guess not know if you're okay, but so what would be like a good thing for people to, can they just say like, I'm praying for you, or hey, hang in there?
Yeah, I think those things are okay, but I think when people are prying for more information,
that's
what
annoying.
Happened, how did it happen?
I hate when people do that, because you have to be, like, people don't understand, like they're not the only one asking what happened, so over and over and over, every time you tell the story, you're having to relive it over and over and over. Yeah, that's a really good question. Even with Bianca and I, when I got to the hospital, I never asked what happened. I asked a nurse because I didn't want her to have to. I mean, it had literally just he passed, and
I think like 20 minutes later, you were there.
Yeah, I was like. Yeah. Just tell me where to be, and I like sped to the hospital. But I would have never went up to her like, "Oh my God, what happened?" Like, although I was in shock, I made sure that when Bianca was, with her family, and I think it's when you guys had stepped away to talk to Tatiana. I think that's when I asked the nurse, like, hey, what happened? Just so I could have some like understanding, but I would have, I would never be like, oh my God, what happened? And, that is natural for people to want to know what happened. But again, like, you have to understand, every time your friend is telling you what happened, they've already told 10 people. Yeah. And, and that question's always coming, and they're always having to relive it. So yeah, don't force people into doing things or to talking about it. Just let them share what they want to share when they want to share it. And therapy and stuff like that, like, you really have to let people
come to that on their own.
Yeah, you have to come to that on your own. Yeah. Like, therapy was suggested to me. And I was open to it right away because I know I needed it. We all need therapy. I believe everyone needs therapy. And therapy really did help me. But, over the years, like, people always, I've been suggested a lot to go to, like, support groups. And, like, for me, I'm like, I'm more of an introvert. So going into public and, like, going into, like, a group setting is, like, hard for me on, like, a regular day. Yeah. But then to, like, do that and talk about my loss is a little bit harder for me than going onto Facebook Live and then having, like, maybe like hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah. Like, even, it sounds weird, but it makes sense in my head. So,
well, I think support groups too, are like kind of a hit or miss. You just have to be careful about what support group you're joining, who's in it, things like that. Because I did join a support group because I was in a support group before for Tristan for some of the conditions that he had. And then they have an angel baby support group affiliated with that. So I joined it. And it was just too overwhelming for me. I had to shut off the notifications because it was just like a lot of moms saying how much they miss their babies. And to me, that's just too overwhelming for me because it just makes me think more about what could have been or what should have happened or how things could have been different. So I think joining the right support group and joining when you're ready. Because it's not always the right time to join it as soon as, your loss happens.
Yeah. Again, just let people come to terms with when they want to do that. So, I mean, I prefer interacting with people online than in person anyway. So, and then our final point, number 5, the do's and don'ts of being there for a friend who has experienced baby loss is to just listen, just be there. Again, don't overwhelm them with advice. Don't force them into things. Just be there with your presence. Don't go ghost on people. Like, that happens a lot. Like, people just totally, they don't know what to say, so they just ignore you altogether. They don't call. They don't invite you anywhere. They don't. They just fall off the planet. Because they're like, this is so uncomfortable, and I don't. Or they just don't get it. They don't understand why this is so hard, because to them, and I hate to say this, but for some people, they're like, it was just the bait. Like, I've had people say stupid things like that to me. They just don't understand. So, just be there. And again, going back to point 1, if you say you're going to be there, like, actually be there, and just, still include your friend and stuff. Like, if I'm going, like, for a walk and stuff, because I'm a little large and in charge right now. I'm trying to get rid of a little weight.
No, you're not.
But, like, if I'm going for a walk, I'll be like, hey, Bianca, I know you've been in the house all day. Do you want to come with me? If she says no, end of story. Like, I'm not going to be like, I think you need to come outside.
I'm at your doorstep right now.
Yeah,
because literally that's how close we live. She could be at my doorstep.
Yeah, I could stalk her if I wanted to. And
she could.
I think your mom would prefer if I did that.
Yeah, let's start that in any case.
But boundaries, people, boundaries.
Yes.
Like, just be there for your friend or family member. Don't forget about them. Still check in, because and I was talking to some of our friends about this at the service. Like, the service isn't like the end of the grieving process. Like, it's the beginning, really, of the grieving process, because those first few days you're busy with making the preparations and, like, basically planning an event. So you're busy.
You don't really have time to sit and
process.
Everything. Yeah.
Grayson, really. But after everything is said and done, and you just are stuck there with your feelings. Sorry guys, the race car going through our set. But after that, then you have all these feelings that you need to basically process for the rest of your life. And that's like when things start hitting you, like, oh my God, like, this really happened. Or you have to basically figure out how to put the pieces of your life back together, put yourself back together. In your case, you have a daughter, so you still have to be present for her and, still parent her. That's something I had an experience. So watching you do that, like, I'm just like, wow, like, like, what a rock star, because very proud of myself. Whereas, for myself, I didn't have any other living children at the time. So after, cremation and everything, like, I was just sitting there, like, with empty hands, like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, there's a lot of things that happen after loss that people don't tell you about. Like, for me, my milk came in, and that was so traumatic, because my body is doing all the things that happens after a delivery, but I don't have a baby. So, like, my breast milk is coming in, and now, like, my boobs are so, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. Like, they didn't even talk to me about this in the hospital, like, all the regular, bleeding and all that stuff. Like, everything your body goes through after delivery, my body went through, because I delivered the baby, but I had no living baby. And that was really, really hard, because I was constantly having reminders of a baby that I delivered that was no longer with me. So, those were some challenges that I faced. I remember, like, having her insurance card show up in the mail. getting like an email like, oh, your baby is such and such weeks old this week. You know, so there are always reminders. There are always emotional triggers that that we deal with, especially in the beginning. My first time back to the doctor's office, I had a panic attack because I had to sit in the waiting room and I was surrounded by pregnant people. And I literally had a panic attack, and some guy, of course, it was when the one time my sister left me by myself. She went to the bathroom, and I think that's probably what made me so nervous, because she was my safety blanket. Yeah. And she stepped away for 5 minutes, and I couldn't handle myself. So there's always things that are coming up, you know, birthdays. Please, please, please be supportive of her this Mother's Day, whether or not she has a living child. If she doesn't have a living child, it may be even harder for her. And I've shared my story on my Facebook about my first Mother's Day and how tough it was for me, because I was a mom technically, but I didn't have like a physical child, living child anymore to show the world, I guess, that I was still a mom. So I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add to this? I don't
think so. I think you hit it all.
Okay. Hopefully I didn't talk too much. I don't know how long we've been here. But so we are hoping to do some kind of, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up now because he's over it. But we are planning to do a chat like maybe once a month or something, where we'll talk about more of this stuff, in addition to NICU life and preemie stuff. Yes, and just bringing awareness to these topics that are not really talked about, that need our attention, because again, the premature rate is so high in the US. I think we're like the second country in the world. We have like the second highest premature rate, which, I mean, that should say something, because we're supposed to be America, just be a great place. But yeah, another topic for another video. But that, and then we have 1 in 4 women experiencing some kind of pregnancy loss. So there's a lot that we can cover. There's a lot that we would like to share with you and educate people about, and support other women like us who have unfortunately either experienced infant loss, or maybe you're a NICU mom. Bianca has, was a NICU mom for 6 months. She basically lived in the NICU. So she has tons of advice for anyone who needs that. So, we'll, I guess, put up like flyers or events or something online.
Send it out to our email subscribers. We'll put it on Facebook. And if anyone wants to come on and chat with us, we'll have like guest hosts. Whether you're a nurse or you're in this baby loss world, a professional, or any type of experience in this world, we'd love to have you as a guest.
So we'll put the word out for that. And thank you so much for watching. And is it cool if I put your GoFundMe?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bianca also has a GoFundMe active right now, just to help with the aftermath of her loss. Tristan passed only 2 weeks ago today. So thank you so much for even doing this. Like, you are just so brave, and I admire you so much, because again, like, I was a lot different than Bianca was or is at this point in her loss. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please share this with anyone who needs it. And if we can answer any questions for you, whether you are the friend or family member of someone in this situation, or maybe you're an Angel mom or a NICU mom, whatever it is, ask us some questions below and we will respond to you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great Wednesday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.